Hey everybody, I'm Margaret and I am a program manager at Morningstar. So I used to say I'm not technical, but that's a lie. I didn't realize this when I was planning my talk, but we're right after lunch. So who here is technical? Cool, very cool. I also am curious, who here can use a fork? Hopefully everyone. We just had lunch. So technical without the right context is an unnecessary gatekeeping term. And it really depends on the context that you have it in. So my story is how I decided to call myself technical. I started in marketing for a technology company, and I decided to stay non-technical to give that 10,000-foot view of what the company does. But I got involved in more events. I started representing the company at things like AWS reInvent, and I met a lot of guys like this, a lot of bros who just assumed that I didn't know what I was talking about and that I wasn't technical, even though I ran the AWS user group in Chicago. Yeah. So I decided to brand myself as a technical marketer. And my first step was to fix our company's documentation. They were giant PDFs that weren't searchable, and they were just walls of text, like really not helpful. So luckily it was a startup, so I was able to turn around to our head of engineering and get his help. Together we made online, searchable, version-controlled documentation. He helped me learn Git, and I got some more hands-on experience with AWS. And through all of that process, I realized that documentation really should come from a place of empathy. And empathy is really important because it doesn't matter who you are or what your background is. I'm trying to help you understand the product and be able to use it better and really help each other. So it doesn't matter if I write for someone who's technical or not. I also realized that good documentation is good marketing. And a lot of customers found us just from Googling and finding those documentation. Like they knew that they had a problem and then they weren't sure what the solution was, but documentation helped them find it. I also got involved with DevOpsDays Chicago. Come join us in August. And I was really impressed to see organizers doing real DevOps for a conference or for anything. I had fellow organizers who helped me write Git and learn Git, even though they were much busier than me. And they gave me full access, edit access to websites and the event registration. So it was really cool to see that culture of collaboration and inclusivity in practice. So I had this experience, and now I started to call myself technical with AWS. So I decided to put it into action. I thought about the AWS user group community that I run in Chicago, and it needed some changes. So to quote Amazon, I decided to drink my own champagne, not dog food. I know, it's obnoxious, eye roll. So, so I wanted to use AWS to help the AWS community run a little more smoothly. So again, I started with documentation. I realized I was writing the same email over and over, and it really should be on a website with an FAQ. I also wanted to get feedback from the group about what topics they wanted to hear, rather than just me deciding for them. So now we have a lovely static S3-based website with a big red button for people to join the Slack community, and also ways for people to submit feedback and talk ideas. And we've grown to 4,500 people. Yeah. On meetup.com. Thankfully, they don't all show up at the same time. So I'm convinced that good documentation can really help you break down silos. It doesn't matter if you're technical or not, documentation should come from a place of empathy. And in my experience, I realized that having that shared ability can really break down your internal silos, and I stopped calling myself not technical. And it's amazing what you can learn from someone through documentation. The great thing is you don't have to sit next to somebody to learn through documentation. They could be distributed or remote as more teams are going that direction. Cool. Oh, and my final point, I feel like the term learning experience is just code for this is gonna suck. And rather than make people go through the same learning experiences, we should document them, share them, and then learn new things together. The concepts of good DevOps and good documentation is the same as good community. People should be enabled to learn and give feedback, collaborate, and continuously improve. So I made him explain the charities because I have like the giant logo on my screen. So I went to school during and post Katrina in New Orleans, and I know what it's like to recover from a hurricane. So I chose Habitat for Humanity. Thank you.